Got Your Eers On is brought to you by Tactical Legion 9.
All right, everybody, hello and welcome to this week's episode of Got Your Eers On. Guido here along with Scoot.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And Johnson.
Merry Christmas, gentlemen. I was thinking, Guido, it's the show before Christmas, a good one for Ren.
Yes.
Because we're talking about Big Tonka going for 18 and 10.
Oh,
Look, even like he's rhyming. He's
what
like,
is going on here?
This is
At first I was like,
It's like
how do you know it's going to be a good one for Ren?
It's like a Got Your Ears On night before, 'twas the night before Christmas, take sort of thing. Merry Christmas.
Before Earmas. Yeah. We've got a great episode, guys. We're going to talk about WVU basketball. We're going to touch on a little bit of the football stuff, signing day coming up, and some things to talk about there. And then we're going to do our annual Christmas gifts to those that are important in the athletic department. That's coming up as well. So definitely keep it. It's going to be good. It's, for being a light week, I think it'll be a fun episode is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, let's have some fun.
WVU beats Buffalo, not the Bills, not the Sabres, the one Buffalo basketball team, other than I think Canisius, isn't that in Buffalo as well?
Yeah, they're not the Bison though, right? What's Canisius? Is it Canisius, Scoot?
They're like a bird. Canisius.
I go
Canisius.
I think I go I think I put the SH in there.
It's
too.
also the alma mater of one John Beeline.
Oh, okay.
Is it the alma mater or did he coach there?
I don't know, but now we're talking about a team we didn't even play.
I think he coached there.
He coached there. He went to Wheeling Central or Wheeling Jesuit.
Jesuit. Okay.
Jesuit, yes. All right, so now that we've talked about the team that we didn't play from Buffalo, let's talk about the team we did play from Buffalo. WVU handles the University of Buffalo pretty easily, 96-78, Johnson.
Yeah, well, this was a weird game, right, Guido, because Buffalo was amped up to play this game. I think they came in fired up. I think we came in, Scoot, the opposite of fired up, and two technicals called on the Bison throughout this game.
I think they're the Bulls.
Are they? And I'm calling them the Bison the whole time?
They're a Bull.
They are the Bulls. The University of Buffalo Bulls, Johnson. I mean, what's the difference between a bull and a bison?
Could you get a good look up the butcher's rear end to tell if that was a bison or a bull? Is that what you did? You could do that.
Well, bulls, Johnson, bulls are considerably larger animals than bison.
Ah, yes,
so
bulls. Okay, well, let's credit them correctly.
No bull.
The bulls. So you're right, Scoot. No bull. So no bull. This was a game until around the under 12 timeout midway through the second half. This was a 61-60 game, Guido. And then the second load of bull technical occurs, and WVU finishes out on a 35-18 run, I think. So it's like they finally decided, hey, let's put this one away, Scoot. And they asserted themselves and got this one easily in the end.
Well, it was a tale of two ends of the court in the sense that the low block. First half, we stunk in the low block. Couldn't stop a nosebleed, as Bart Scott would say. The second half, all we did was feed the low block, and it led to the big win. And when I say feed the low block, it was Tonka time.
Well, and I think for me, guys, and it was just to talk about the whole game again, like Huggins wasn't happy going into, and it, of all days, like it's Huggins' like big day. They did the whole Hall of Fame thing for him at halftime, and the jersey and the ceremony and all that. And Huggins wasn't happy at halftime. I will say that this team compared to last year's team, right? Like this last year's team at that under 12 timeout, where this year's team turned it around. I don't think last year's team would have turned it around. I think this year's team's got a little more, as Scoot likes to say, chutzpah. They've got a little more oomph in them, and they became a different team that last 12 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, and Scoot, you've been saying that all season so far, and I think that's what I was thinking about this game. So two things. I don't think they were playing very efficiently up to that point, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but no Emmett Matthews in this game. He sat out with a knee injury. I feel like that reared its head a bit, and I think, Scooch, you've been saying last year's team, they lose a game like this.
Yes.
And I think it's it's nice that this is another example where I don't feel that, up until that end portion of the game, like you were saying, they didn't play particularly well. They're down a man, and they still win. And they still win rather convincingly.
Well, and not to sound flippant, I don't usually use that word, but I'm going to use that word, flippant.
Okay,
There you go.
all right.
Yeah.
With the makeup of last year's team, in a lot of ways, a Buffalo game would have been almost like an in-conference game. Whereas when we got to the Big 12 part of the schedule, it was almost like we were playing out of our league in a lot of areas and ways. So I think last year's team, and listen, in reality, you sometimes lose some conference games. Well, in the way our players played and the players we had, they couldn't handle some of that kind of adversity that, listen, Buffalo got down the floor fast. They transitioned very well. They were no joke when it came to getting to the basket. And that's why Isaac Jack, a nobody backup center, I say nobody, he's somebody, but he's a guy that was averaging 4 points a game, I think, had 11 or 13 at the half. That's
in the
crazy.
first half, right? Yeah, he looked really good. Well, their guard play was solid. You're right. I mean, they could advance the ball pretty quickly. I just thought it was sort of a war of attrition toward the second half. They got into pretty healthy foul trouble. And then I thought Big Tonka, like I said at the top, he goes for 18 and 10. He had a really strong second half.
Yeah. And then you have Eric Stevenson, who was, shooting lights out again from beyond the arc too, guys. 5 for 8 with 22 points. So
he kept us in it the first half, right? So if there was an MVP for each half, Stevenson was the MVP. He had 16 points at half. So that's pretty impressive. And it seems like anytime he touches the ball, good things happen. Very rarely do you see him do dumb stuff, which is what you want out of a guy that's considered your leader.
Well, and Trey Mitchell did Trey Mitchell things.
Right. Now that helped because he had to, because there was no Emmett Matthews, right? We also got to see a nice resurgence or a return of Seth Wilson. He was back. I think he had 10 points again.
No, that's a great. You know what? I forgot about that. And once again, he made some big shots. He went for 10 points, like you said, and he was really efficient. Like he's starting to be. Scoot, who was the microwave back in the 80s? Who was didn't he play for Seattle? Was it why do I want to say Vernon Maxwell? It wasn't him though, was it? Who was the microwave?
I think he played for the Blue Jays. What was the guy that played for the Blue Jays? Wasn't his name Vernon Wells? Wrong.
Vernon Wells.
Vernon Wells and Vernon Maxwell.
Vinny Johnson's who you're thinking of.
No, Vinny Johnson. I don't know where I got Vernon Max. Anyway,
we got the V.
That's who he, like, if I had to give him sort of like a Got Your Ears On nickname, I'd start to call Seth Wilson. He's like the microwave. He comes in, gives you some good minutes, gives the guard, whoever it is that needs a breather, he comes in. And I tell you what, Scoot, ever since some random guy on ESPN3 informed us that he was the second leading scorer at his high school.
He's like turned it on.
And the leading scorer being LeBron James. It's like it like went whoosh. It like that opinion
came over
just
you.
And every time I see him, I'm like, well, he's like
he should score. Right.
Yeah,
he should be
like
scoring.
He knows what to do with the ball. So good for him in this game.
And to not get too in the weeds here on the technical parts of the basketball, but if you've got some guys hitting outside shots, it's going to open up the inside for your big guy. So that's the benefit there is not only did they have to worry about Stevenson, who had 16, so you got to guard him. Now you got another guy who's starting to hit, and that's Wilson. So now you got to split a little bit of what your energy was toward Stevenson, toward Wilson, and that's going to leave a big guy who happens to be 285, 290 pounds, a force in the middle. He's going to be able to do whatever he wants.
Yeah. The other thing is I think Kedrian Johnson went a little cold shooting this game, but with that said, he had 7 assists and 4 steals, and so at least I think Kedy's like he's starting to find his groove with the team, and like we talked about it last week, when he and Joey Toots are out there playing together, it's looking solid. I mean, both of them were a little cold shooting at that Buffalo game, and and we've talked about this before, where if we can get just a couple of these guys to stay hot, and that's what happened. Like you got Stevenson played, has been playing great, but Jimmy, Big Tunka has a great game shooting. You see Seth Wilson come out of nowhere shooting well. So, I will say that's the one thing about this team I feel is better, guys, is like the depth of this team is true depth, unlike last year where we were playing 9 guys, but we weren't really that deep.
Well, and if you look at the minutes too, Hugs and the staff have really done kind of what I hoped they would have done last year. I think last year they were just trying to like throw pasta to the wall and see what stuck. They really didn't have a true good sense of what was working. But this year we're starting to see a fairly solid 9 rotation, right? Maybe 10 if you throw Emmett Matthews in there. But we're not seeing crazy minutes going to just about everybody. Last year I think we had a game where we had like 12 guys with double-digit minutes. You're not going to get any continuity that way.
And Jimmy played 26 minutes. Like, Tunka played a lot of minutes. I think it's the most that he's played this season in a game. And you saw that on the other end, James Okonkwo, I don't even know. I mean, he was on the court at some point, but didn't play that much. So, I mean, that's something different, especially from a big guy that you don't usually see playing that much time.
Yeah, Mo Wagi chipped in 12 minutes, too. I still think he seems like he's trying to get back in the lab and kind of figure things out, these last couple games, but I thought he looked better, Scoot. I didn't have that feeling like I did in some of these previous games where when Jimmy Bell goes out for a spell, you're kind of like, all right, let's see what happens here. I thought it was a little more sure footing.
Mo is like a guy that everyone tells you, or tells him, hey, you are this type of player, and he doesn't feel like what they're telling him. So then he starts to try to be like what they're telling him, but that's not necessarily what he is. Like, I think people tell him, hey, you're a shot blocker, right? You're this big-time shot blocker. You look like a guy that should be able to block shots like crazy. I don't know that that's what he is. I'm not sure what he is, but I'm not getting the sense that he's going to be our big-time rim protector. What he isn't is 290 pounds. And you see the difference when he comes in as opposed to Tunka.
Mm-hmm. It's just a different feel. But I mean, I'm still a big Mo Wagi fan. I think he's just got to figure out.
I think he's just raw. I think he's so new to basketball is what it feels like.
So guys, this team, definitely a different track than last year's team. I mean, last year's team had a better record at this point, but this year's team's getting way more press. Right now, both in the coaches poll and the AP poll this week, we were around 27. We were definitely getting votes and really close to the top 25. And then you look at Ken Palm and his, computer. Scoot loves his computer, by the way.
I'm going to get one for Christmas, hopefully.
The Ken Palm computer. Ken Palm has WVU 17th, ranked 17th. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, this team just feels different, even with the 2 losses. They were good losses, right? They were losses against teams that were comparable, if not better, definitely better. Purdue is number 1 team in the nation in some places, and so and they're 11-0. So I think that it's a different team than last year for sure.
Well, and it makes you excited too. We didn't go into it last week, but Scoot and I were sitting here trying to say, like I was saying, I can see this team going 9-9. Scoot was a little more bullish. I think you said more like 12 wins in conference, Scoot, but it makes me excited if you can maintain this non-conference record like Guido saying we have before, but there's a little bit more substance, a little bit more meat on the bone. Then you go in and hold your own in what we expect to be a super strong Big 12. Then I start to get, I don't know, a little bit excited. Maybe we could be watching basketball in March. That would be great.
Yeah, and I think, Scooty, I think the difference is this team is super resilient compared to last year's team. I don't, again, when you talk about, I mean, Huggins made the joke of the guys need to throw to the right color jerseys or whatever, but I think that his approach to this team, at least from the media standpoint and how he's been talking about this team, is way different than how he talked about last year's team. He's not talking about guys not coming to practice or showing up late, or he's not naming names, right?
Right.
That's the difference. He's not, and so I think the resiliency of this team is going to be different when we look at the, what happens in the conference, games.
I agree. I think we just have a group of guys, like Huggs says, that like to be around each other, like to be in the gym together. And I'll be honest, and I know this is, I think, how a lot of Mountaineer fans feel. I feel like it's Eric Stevenson's personality that won't let. I think he's got that kind of mentality. Like he doesn't really. He's not going to let stupid little stuff get to the team. I think he's going to be kind of the guy that pulls us through a lot of some of that stuff that might have dogged teams of the past. I think he's that guy that keeps pushing it along.
Would you say he's got that dog in him? Would you say that if an X-ray was taken of his chest, would we
There might
see...
be a small dog in
Right.
him.
Okay.
Small dog in there. You were the dog. You were the you know.
A DAWG, not a DOG.
DAWG dog. Yeah. But on all of this week kind of came on the heels also of some bad news for WVU basketball for Coach Huggins. Jose Perez, Manhattan transfer, was denied his waiver to play for WVU this season, John.
This is crap. Everyone knows this is crap.
Totally. It's absurd.
Like, it's always, of course, as soon as we hear these types of things, then you see other instances which completely like fly in the face of this. For instance, the character that's going on his 9th year of eligibility in football, like
At Oregon, guy at Oregon.
He was a high school senior in 2015. 2015.
Well, Guido, the weird thing to me, I'm going to be the first to admit, this is still cloudy for me because what we read early on was that, or at least the impression I got, you guys correct me, but the way I read some of the context around this announcement with Jose Perez was that Manhattan either did not fill out the proper forms or they didn't fill them out timely enough, or there was some, allusion to they deliberately weren't being helpful because they didn't want him to, there was like this looming context on the side of Manhattan's part. Then what we witnessed in the days since this was announced, I think this came out on like the 16th. Then Manhattan's social media accounts were barraged with every angry WVU fan that I know of on Twitter and beyond. And they ended up coming out with a statement that I don't know was perpetuated by that, but I felt like I was watching cyberbullying in real time from a fan base to another fan base. And they came out and they kind of put something out there like, hey, please stop. We did what we were supposed to do. And they kind of left it at, I think the statement from them was like direct all questions to WVU and the NCAA, which it's weird, isn't it? It feels like I don't know what to believe about this. Jose Perez is caught in the middle. It's unfair.
And I get it. I think that, I think the overall sort of statement was that it was one day before the season or whatever it was, and he decides to transfer and, and I know, I get it that there's rules, and I just feel like the NCAA throws everything else to the wind. Like, why is this different? And, I love the Twitter is, as much as Twitter is falling apart, folks, and who knows where you can find us after this, that's a whole nother story. Twitter was hilarious because the post was made and then people were tweeting like, well, if he'd transferred to Kansas, he would have been eligible. So I think that, again, the NCAA doesn't have any need or any want to help us, to help anybody out in this, including these kids. And so now, poor Jose Perez is kind of stuck in this situation. I mean, at least they allowed him to be able to practice with the team, but he's stuck in this situation now where he expected to play and he's not going to play. And the only way he can play again is to wait until next season at WVU.
Also, something to go along with what Johnson was kind of alluding to, Ethan Bach, who is known for his Bach bombs. Are you familiar?
A Bach bomb.
Yeah. He had tweeted a little while ago that there are still 2 other guys from Manhattan stuck in the transfer portal who both put themselves in the portal right around the same day or same time as Jose Perez. So a little strange, because I guess what Ethan is saying is that surely by now somebody would have gobbled those guys up and that hasn't happened.
When you say stuck in the transfer portal, I picture this like 3 guys in an elevator, and they're like, "Is someone coming?"
So basically, let me ask you this, right? So you go into the transfer portal, you're pretty much like not in college, right?
No,
you finish out the semester?
I don't think so. I don't think so because, I mean, perhaps, but I read something, I need to find the right person to attribute it to, but they pointed out that 2 guys from Penn, so we played Penn earlier in the season, there's 2 guys from Penn that are in the transfer portal, but they're finishing, like, they're still playing for Penn. So I don't really know how that can work.
Like Jose Perez, right? So he goes in the transfer portal. He got to WVU the first week of December.
Right.
Classes are not done yet for the first semester. So he basically is not a college student. He's just hanging out for a month or 2 because classes probably don't start up until mid-January.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I get like that's what I'm just – so these 2 guys that go in the transfer portal the same time he did, they probably didn't go to class. They're probably like, screw this school.
So it's like good looking out for students, NCAA. Like let's keep people in limbo.
Right? I would think like
one thing.
If I'm not going to go to play basketball here, why am I going to finish this semester?
Probably.
And I know like the NCAA changes rules every 5 minutes, but wasn't there in like 2019 or when Oscar came, like wasn't there something where Schwebe like he could practice with the team, but then he couldn't play in a game until January? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
like,
and they're treating Jose much like that too, what Guido's saying. Like I think something silly, like you'll see him shooting at the opposite hoop.
He's
when
not
they're
even allowed.
warming up.
He is now, but up until the decision, he wasn't allowed to be with the team. He wasn't allowed to practice with the team. But then once they denied him, he can actually practice. It's so stupid. Like he can actually now practice with the team even though he was denied. So he's, by all accounts, in practice, probably torching guys as a practice player.
Yeah. It's so silly though.
But yet they'll let these kids, and this is where the NCAA kills me because they're like, well, you can go out and earn as much money as you want. Like, go out and get, like, they're getting paid to play. Let's just be honest. Like, if this isn't the NBA wouldn't do this, right? The NBA is not like, oh, you can't go sign with another team and you have to sit out a year before you can play with that team.
Well, what's interesting to me is, so they're appealing, and at this point, my thought process is, if this appeal seems like it's taking forever, I would just pull the plug on the appeal. You might as well just try to keep him for the full year next year if he's willing to stay, as opposed to getting him for 3 or 4 games at the end of the season. I don't know if that's worth it to him or to us.
And I think at this point, that's more of the question is, he's only got 1 year of eligibility left. He would have been a senior. Are you better off just holding on to him now and having him play a full season next year if he's not going to be available to whatever?
I read that there are a couple guys, I have to think of who they are, that could come back next year. Trey Mitchell, I think, is one. Not Emmett, but there was another one. Maybe Stevenson. I don't think it can't be Stevenson. He's been in like 15 schools. But anyway, there's another one of those guys who could come back next year. So then you might be able to keep some of that team intact going forward. Of course, you'll have like the Seth Wilsons, the Kobe Johnsons, some of those guys. Maybe it's Joe Toussaint. Might be Joe Toussaint who can come back for another year.
Joey Toots.
Yeah.
So just a tough break for WVU. I mean, again, I think it's a good team. I'm not overly concerned. I think it just would have been another piece to the puzzle. To be honest with you, it probably would have. Who would it have hurt if he would have played? Seth Wilson, maybe? Like, who's he taking minutes from?
Probably
now?
Kobe Johnson. Kobe and Seth probably are the ones that see the biggest hit to their minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens on the appeal. But it sounded like from the broadcast the other night at the Buffalo game that there's very little hope that he is going to play this season for WVU. Bob Huggins, so as we said, was recognized at the game on Sunday for Hall of Fame. Also, the Ohio legislature gave him a recognition as well for all coaching. He coached where? At Akron for a couple of years, and of course at Cincinnati. So
and his father being a kind of a legendary high school coach in the state as well. I mean, I think they were kind of just making sure that the state also recognized him for his Hall of Fame induction, which is pretty cool.
And then he announced the fish fry was announced as coming up, obviously, the fundraiser that he does. And big news from that, guys. Another Hall of Famer will be joining him on the dais at the fish fry. Charles Barkley is going to be the special guest at the Fish Fry on January 27th. BobHugginsFishFry.com to help benefit the WVU Cancer Institution. No real connection there with Charles Barkley, but I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, when I read that, I was like, okay, Scoot. Like, there's no. I mean, I didn't even know those two guys knew each other, but I guess it's like put one really interesting guy alongside another really interesting guy and see what hilarity ensues is the way I read that.
I'm not sure they're both big guys. I was going to go with something about the menu. I don't know what the menu could entail.
He'll be like, Hugs, these fish are terrible.
Terrible. That's terrible fish.
Do they really eat the fish? Are they eating fish?
I don't know.
I mean, I think they
call
do,
it a fish
Steve.
fry.
It's a fish fry.
I mean,
I would
yes,
assume
they say that, but
well, you wouldn't go to it because you won't eat fish.
no, I love fish. Come on, I love fish.
Oh, you do eat fish.
Yeah, I love
okay.
fish.
Love?
I love.
Love?
Do they have to be fish nuggets?
Yeah.
Like dinosaur-shaped fish nuggets?
I should be a pescatarian.
So anyways, check it out, BobHugginsFishFry.com to get tickets for his fish fry. Guys, let's change over to football now. A couple of big news things happened with football this week before we give out our Christmas gifts. I'm super excited about giving out Christmas gifts, guys. So Graham Harrell no longer on the coaching staff at WVU. Is anybody shocked?
No, I feel like he hasn't been on the coaching staff since mid-season.
Texas Tech.
Right.
Yes, exactly. That was my thought too.
And that was a weird thing, right? I mean, we're acting like that's a Tuesday, but that's weird in hindsight. It was almost like he sort of kicked back and was like, sure, I'll take a paycheck if you don't want to use my services. I mean, it didn't look like anything.
You don't like passes more than 5 yards? All right.
Right.
Call them yourself.
Right. Like, be my guest.
BSU,
I'll just collect
right
my paycheck. And yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I think he goes to Purdue, when you think of exciting offenses, you think of the Purdue Boilermakers, I think, right? Obviously, I'm laying it on thick, Scoot. I thought you'd pick it up. Give me a little ha-ha.
I got you. Well, they're
You're just looking at me. Okay.
Drew Brees.
Right.
Maybe
like 20 years ago.
Well, he's back. He's back as an interim coach.
All right. Fresh off the lightning strike.
So,
right?
Yeah, that was fake, I think.
Well, I think people are now, Guido, because Scoot and I have a hot take. Scoot's probably going to beat me to the punch, but the hot thing on Twitter, the thing, I told you last week, things become things on Twitter, the thing on Twitter this week was who's going to be the new West Virginia offensive coordinator now.
Right.
Scoot, who do you think it's going to be? I think you and I think it's going to be the same person.
Well, listen.
The context is people on Twitter have been like, pew, 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 quick hitter, interesting name, this guy,
Mark
this
Whipple.
guy, Pat White, Mark Whipple, Seth Luttrell from North Texas. How about this pew, pew? And what were we talking about, Scoot? Who do we think it's going to be?
It's going to be the old ball coach.
It's going to be Neil Brown. It's going to be guy in a visor.
Yeah.
First name Neil, last name Brown. That's who it's going to be.
I'll give you my opinion. I agree. I'm with you guys. I think the difference is, like, I agree. It would a Mark Whipple, I think Clint Trickett's name's been thrown out there. Would those all be fun things? I agree. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to name, like, Chad Scott is going to be named as the OC, but he's not going to be making any play. That's my opinion. Like, Chad Scott's going to be called the offensive coordinator, but Neil Brown's going to be the one calling the wheel routes and the little bubble screens.
Scoot, I just think it's cute. I think it's cute. Bless their hearts. Like WVU Twitter is like, this will be fun. This guy. This guy's fun. This is exciting. It'll be this guy.
WVU connection.
Like the whole time I'm scrolling Twitter and I'm going, oh, look at them thinking we're going to have fun. Like, it's not going to be anything fun. It's going to be Coach Brown.
Off the top of your head, Guido, how many coaches do we have on our staff that are former WVU players?
Ooh. Former players? Zero.
Okay, so why all of a sudden we would start bringing in Clint Trickett, Pat White, Steve Slayton?
Exactly.
Any other guy? Well, he's got a connection to WVU. That doesn't matter to Neil Brown. He's not
Does
bringing
he have
him
a
back.
connection to Troy?
That's
Does That's what you should probably be looking for.
Yes. Chad Scott and Neil Brown have coached together for like 35 years. Neil Brown's only 40 years old, I think. And they've been coaching together since like they were in kindergarten. Like Chad Scott, I think, and Neil Brown have coached together.
Scoot, can't you see a little Neil Brown out on the playground running tunnel screens?
Would you? Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Look, you're gonna go. The slide is really close.
Listen.
Just run over there and turn around.
Run to the slide and turn around.
It's to the point now where they should make a stuffed animal of Neil Brown
Okay.
wearing a bunch of WVU/Troy clothing
Okay.
and call it My Buddy, and then bring in all of his little buddies. He's got his buddies, his My Buddy, because that's what he's got. He's got a lot of buddies.
Would it be like a house of? Would it be like Bear Divided? Like Bear, like one half of the shirt
like those
is
people that
Troy,
like
one
the
half
Marshall and the
Right.
Marshall and
Yes.
the WVU
Yeah.
stuff.
Bear Divide, Buddy
Right.
Divided.
Yes.
Here's the thing, though, in all seriousness, I think that he'll be under, I think WVU and Neil Brown will be under enough pressure to actually name an offensive
So you think
coordinator.
someone will be named?
I don't
but
think-
it'll be like
I think Chad Scott, I don't see anybody else. I think Chad Scott will be named offensive coordinator / assistant head coach or whatever they, all of those. And then what will happen is, and they'll get a new running backs coach. I don't know who. It'll be somebody else that he coached with in high
Well,
school.
I mean, I
probably.
like Chad Scott, so I'm okay with that. But I don't think he'll actually be allowed to do anything.
Yeah, the problem is it doesn't matter. Like, so let's, for argument's sake, say it is Chad Scott, and he actually lets Chad Scott call the plays. They've been coaching together for 12 years. He's going to call the same plays that Neil Brown would call.
Chad's not calling plays.
You're not. It's
I
not.
mean,
it's not going to change.
It's Neil
I
Brown.
agree with you guys.
I mean, it was
right.
Neil Brown after Texas Tech. Let's be honest.
I think so too.
The play calling went so different after that.
Different, bland. What I mean, are you saying different? Like
Opposite of good.
Okay,
So
I'll
different.
allow it. All right.
I'm going to say, like, if you like to run east and west, you have a better chance of getting the ball as a catch. If you like to go north-south, we're not giving you the ball.
I just,
And at this point, I'm not sure who we're giving the ball to because we only have 3 original scholarship wide receivers left.
Well, Guido, I was hoping they would push forward next year into like a true RPO. They flirt with this weird RPO that Scoot likes to then watch the guy throw an air pass and all that kind of stuff. With the personnel, you would hope maybe they would go, but I don't have any faith. I don't have any faith they'll actually do that, though. I don't have any faith.
I think the difference is, is that with Garrett Green, I don't know enough about Nico to say this, but with Garrett Green probably being your starting quarterback next year.
I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. Garrett Green is going to be moved to wide receiver. Nico is the starting quarterback.
You think?
Nico,
Like,
listen, it's going to
like
be Neil and
Edelman?
Nico. Neil and
Like
Nico
a-
are going to ride.
like a Garrett Edelman is what you're saying?
Yes, that's what because they're short on receiver. They're going to float him over to slot.
Well, I mean, that's putting it nicely. Short on receiver
No
is
pun
like the
intended. He's
nicest
not very
way
tall.
you could say.
I just want to, and so here's the thing. Signing day is this week. Signing day is Wednesday, the 21st, early signing day.
Yes.
Recently, WVU had another decommitment from a 3-star wide receiver, Elijah Caldwell. Every time, guys, I read WVU football news.
Every time you in the kitchen, I'm in the kitchen, eating up all them decommits.
Every time I'm in the portal,
You in the portal.
taking up all the players.
Taking up all them decommits. I feel like every time I want to take another win off of the board for next year. I mean, I look at the schedule. I look at what the direction that we continue to go. Not that I thought Graham Harrell was going to stay, and that was the move that was going to happen anyway. But every time I see something happen, I look at it and I go, well, I was thinking 5 wins. Now I'm thinking 4 wins.
But Neil's a great recruiter. Don't forget, he's a great recruiter.
Is he? Is he?
That's what I've been told.
Well, I mean, does it matter though when they're like,
what
he
are we
gets them
recruiting?
here,
He's got to
and
recruit
then
his own team.
Well, but when they're gone in 2 seasons or less, does it? I don't disagree that I think he's a fine recruiter. I think he's a
Bad retainer.
Yeah, I think that's more accurate. Yeah.
No, I just think. Well, I think the thing is now is there's so much with this WVU football program, there is so much unsure, unstable ground that and the portal is just such a, immense thing now that everybody leaves, right? Like if everybody's looking at the team and they're like, well, we can't win more than 5 games. We're not going to go to a bowl. We can't win, more than 5 games. I'm out. And that's what's going to happen. That's what it's continued to happen.
I put the link to the portal, like the summary link, but I think this week you had 3 more guys. So in addition to the decommitment of Elijah Caldwell that you were talking about, Guido, Taurus Simmons, Naeem Muhammad, Chris Mayo. I think Chris Mayo is an offensive lineman. You had 3 more guys into the portal. Now, the only import scoot that I saw were 2 guys from Kent State.
Yes.
And I don't want to I'm going to try not to do the Kent State whoopee thing, because you never know, right? I mean, I think WVU historically has found the guys that maybe felt like they were overlooked and then coached them up to good things. But it's sort of like, regardless from a numbers perspective, I mean, Scoot, I know you don't like math, but 14 or 15 out and 2 in is
not good math.
That's not good math, right?
That's not good
you need
math.
better math than that.
A couple things on these 2 guys that we're bringing in. The scuttle in Twitter this is how we're shining these things nowadays. Well, they played good against the Power 5 teams that their team played against. That's the selling point, that they played good against the couple of teams that their team played against that were Power 5 teams. So that's how we're justifying good players. Now, like you said, could they have been overlooked? Very possible. Could they be diamonds in the rough, perhaps? Maybe. I don't know. I do know that we're losing players in areas that we can't afford to lose players in. We lost Jordan Jefferson. I don't think you mentioned him. That's a big loss to our defensive line. You're losing starting wide receivers, and that's the thing that we've been saying here on this show for now 3 years. It's not like we're losing all backup guys who are upset that they didn't get time. We're losing guys that are almost guaranteed big time. Caden Prather, we'd throw that guy the ball every down if we could.
Yeah, that's what we were saying last week. He's probably wide receiver 1 next season if he stays.
And it's not even close. Like, there's not a lot of competition for him. Like, he would have been.
No, Scoot, listen, everything's fine. Scoot, everything's fine. It'll be evaluated in the coming. I don't know what you're trying to say. Like, it's going to be evaluated in the coming season.
Sure,
one more season. It's like year
the
2.
Quarterback competition happened in the last couple of years.
Scoot, it's barely year 2. I don't know what you're griping about.
It is barely.
Barely year 2.
Those first couple of years were
with
rough.
A tough schedule. It's barely year 2 with a tough schedule, guys.
Scoot, schedule's hard.
Let me ask you. Can I ask you guys a question?
Did I tell you the cupboard was bare a while back?
Well, he had COVID. They had COVID to deal with. Can I ask you a question about the schedule being hard?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So in a conference that has how many teams currently? I mean, we're adding to it now, but how many teams were in the Big 12?
Well, we'll be at 14.
But we had how many? 10. Right? Okay. So everybody had to play everybody, correct?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
9 conference games.
We picked up.
Where are we going here, Scoot?
How tough is it really? I mean, let's be honest. Like, if we're going to say we had the toughest schedule, Virginia Tech, were they tough?
No, and that's a good thing. No, I like this, Guido. I like this because so your conference is your conference, right? Let's explore this for 1 second, Scoot. Like, so what are you going to do then? Are you saying you need to change conferences? Like, so your conference is your conference. So then your rubber matches were against Virginia Tech, Pitt, and Towson State.
Right, Towson State,
so are
not
you saying
good. Virginia Tech, not good.
Right.
Pitt, winnable.
Pitt was supposed to be good.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they were meh.
good.
I mean, they were meh. Okay. They were good. I mean, 8-4. Okay.
So how does that make your schedule one of the toughest in America?
Right. No, I know. That's why we brought it up last week and kind of made fun of it, Scoot.
Right.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's like, come on, man.
I just don't get, like, I don't know. Like, I don't.
I'll go back to what we said last week when we talked about the hiring of Ren Baker, and we talked about the evaluation, the quote-unquote evaluation he was going to have of the football team that never really happened. I truly believe that there was a decision made above Ren Baker's pay grade that said, listen, you got to fly with us for one more year, so we bring down that buyout a little bit more, and then you can do what you want to do the next year. And I think that's the decision that was made. And I think I think that the higher ups at WVU are fully expecting the team not to go to a bowl game next year, are fully expecting the team to have 4 wins, are fully expecting them to average attendance of 30,000. Like, I think that's the track that it's gone, Johnson.
Do you raise an eyebrow though if I'm just playing devil's advocate, like for this offensive coordinator thing? I think we're all three, like we said, resigned to the fact that it's going to be the old ball coach. But would you raise an eyebrow if, like, what if it appeared that Ren Baker stepped in and said, "Hey, you got to do something of quality here," and they brought in either a name you recognize or someone from outside that's not, a Troy guy or something, and like, which I mean, I guess is what we thought they did with Graham Harrell. But what, instead of just going, resigning ourselves to, hey, it's like a figurehead person, Buddy, or the coach. If they actually put in someone that you went, oh, and you kind of raised an eyebrow, would you give Ren Baker a tick, in the pros side for like maybe
we did that last year when it felt like Shane Lyons made him bring in Graham Harrell.
We did,
and how did that work out?
Not very good.
I would not give him anything.
Okay,
just because, to my knowledge, Ren hasn't done a lot of
doesn't appear so
done a lot of coach urging or coach hiring or any of that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I don't know if Ren really knows what he's kind of stepping into yet. You know what I mean? Like, I bet he gets it. People are a little angsty.
I mean, he has to.
Yeah,
he
they're angsty.
has to know what he's
but
stepping
I don't
in.
think until you've lived here a little while that he realizes it's not just the university folk that are angsty. It's like the entire 1.8 million people of West Virginia that are angsty.
Well, don't you think he's like gotten a pat on the back from the people above him? Like, hey, good luck putting up with all that. We need you to shield us from that for another season. Good luck
and
with
cool
that.
shoes.
Well, but I think, and here's again where I agree with a lot of what Shane Lyons said. I think that the hiring of Ren Baker was the institution's way of being able to say, well, we wanted Ren to get a chance to evaluate the program for a year, and they just wanted to push all of that down the road 1 year. So now that buyout, it'll get negotiated down to $5 million or $7 million next year.
Kind of kick the can down the road a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I agree. I will say this: it's good. WVU's not going to name an offensive coordinator for weeks. And then when they do, it'll be like in the dregs of February when nobody's even thinking about football, and it'll be Chad Scott.
It'll be in small print on a Sunday night at 1 a.m. Neil Brown.
Right.
Neil Brown named offensive coordinator. WVU.
All right, let's do something fun, guys. It's the happiest time of the year. It's Christmas. I feel like, this is our annual Christmas show. We have to do something kind of festive and holiday-y. Let's give some gifts out. Like, I feel like we take a lot. We listen. We watch we take a lot of the pain. I think it's time for us to give a little, guys. Don't you think, Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, 'tis the season. Let's dial up some gifts. Yeah.
So as we like to do, the three of us like to give gifts to some of the major players in the West Virginia sports hemisphere, coaches and athletic directors and the like. We'll start this year, guys, with our gift for Coach Bob Huggins, now newly minted Hall of Famer Bob Huggins. I'll go first with Coach Huggins. It was really fun to watch him on Sunday at the Buffalo game. He came out at halftime. He put on his Naismith orange jacket. Yes. Over top of his pullover with the hoodie hanging out the back was a nice look. I feel like, I don't know if you guys remember this, the good old days of Coach Huggs where he used to wear like the all yellow suit. I actually got him wrapped up under the tree for him, a pair of Naismith orange pants to go along with the jacket
the suit.
So that he can complete the suit. Right. So he can wear that on the side.
That's kind of a baller move if you did that, though.
Right.
Like if you just made that part of your every game attire.
It'd be great. It'd be awesome.
Did you notice, though, I bet Scoot picked up on this. Scoot, Hugs had a sweatshirt on during the
Yes.
game, though, and on the sleeve it said Hall of Fame, and then in the
I
middle,
knew it said
Bob
so. I couldn't
Huggins.
read what it said, but I
was
knew it
kinda
said
cool.
that, or
I liked
It was
it.
either that, or I thought it might say Norma May, but I couldn't tell what it said.
That was cool. I liked it.
Scooty, what would you give
Well,
Coach Huggins for Christmas?
for the guy that he is to fit. Listen, if a guy who is he's almost 70, right? He's pretty close to 70, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
Rocks a gold chain.
Does.
Chain out during games.
Chain out.
I think
Yes.
that guy needs a hat with a feather. That's what I'm getting him.
Oh, like a fedora,
like a pimp hat,
with
like
a
a
feather.
pimp hat.
That's right.
Wearing the suit, wearing the orange suit, chain out,
That's
hat
right.
with the feather. That's a good look. Good look, Johnson. What would you wrap up and put under the tree for? Coach
I
Huggins?
think today's Hugs is always kind of up and down off the stool. He's up to argue a bad call. He's back to the stool. He's up to argue. He doesn't feel like the bigs are boxing out down low. He's back to the stool. Someone throws the ball out of bounds. He's up to get in somebody's grill. He's back to the stool. Scoot, I think he needs a chair. He needs a sturdy chair cushion, maybe memory foam, like that. That stool's getting a workout, right?
I thought
like
maybe you were going to go like, those recliners that tilt up for the elderly.
Tilt up.
To get him up out
Oh,
of the
like
stool.
like the chair assist.
Yeah.
Like the.
Yeah, I thought that's
I
maybe
like
where you
that
were going.
too. I like that too. I didn't know what the budget was for gifts, so
I mean,
Yeah, we didn't do the $20.
Yeah,
No, you could
come
get
on.
anything. The power
yeah.
lift chair.
But that's a good. Okay, well, I like that even better.
Power lift stool. A power
Right.
lift stool. That's a good one. All right. Well, hopefully Coach Hugs enjoys his gifts from us guys. Next up on our list is the old ball coach himself, head coach Neil Brown of the football team. Scooty, I'll let you go first this time, Scooty.
interesting enough, Neil Brown, one of my favorite coaches. I
Obviously, he has been for
would
years.
like to get him a 100 feet long dog leash.
Okay. What? Explain.
Okay, why does he need such a long? I mean, we're not talking like a normal
No,
dog.
well, a
leash.
little bit longer.
Is this like
leash.
one of the retractable ones?
It could be. I'm not picky. It could be if
Okay.
but I would like to let
Now
him.
wait a minute. Is this like the little harness thing parents will put on a toddler and let them run so far, and then they're like caught up in
This
it?
is a leash for him to use.
Okay.
I'd like him to have a little bit of a longer leash on Garrett Green. Come on, let the poor kid
Oh,
play.
I like this.
Let
yes.
the kid play.
Like, for
Let
the
ball-
love of
let the player
mankind,
play.
give that guy a long leash.
Johnson, what would you give Neil Brown for Christmas?
I think I would give him, Scoot, an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper so that he has more room than just the little index card he uses for offensive plays. Like, he'd have more room to write.
Laminate.
So that when
Like,
he uses his size 36 font screen, that there's more that fits
there's
on
at
the
least
paper.
a little bit more
Then
room.
we're going to go screen.
Perhaps one or two more play options on his offensive sheet. Yes,
Like,
that's what I would do.
All right.
Okay.
All right. That's good. Johnson, oddly enough, I think you and I went to the same store. I think you and I both went to the paper store for Coach Neil
Okay.
Brown. And we must have been out together. I, on the other hand, though, you got him the nice, big sheet of paper. I got him a nice box of a heavyweight, like parchment stationery
Okay.
paper so that he could get his resume printed really nice on it for next year when he has to go find himself a new position.
Total cost for Neil Brown's gifts, roughly $30.
Huggins, I'm buying $500 pair of pants.
I'm getting him a pimp hat.
Neil Brown's getting a $20 box of paper from me. All right. So Coach Brown, good luck with your gifts. Next up, guys, is our new athletic director at WVU, Ren Baker, coming to us from Texas. I was going to get him a coat because, it's warm in Texas. Might be cold here, but he's in North Texas. North Texas was a little colder, I think, so maybe he's used to it. But instead, I was torn. I was torn between two gifts, and maybe you guys can help me out. My first gift was a nice, big, cushy dog bed.
Okay.
That was my first gift.
All right.
And my second gift was a baby Bjorn. I was kind of tied between the two.
Okay.
I was thinking, the dog bed might fit nice in Gordon Gee's office in the corner, so he could just have a place to curl up when he's getting told what to do. On the other hand, the baby Bjorn, I thought, Gordon Gee, not a big guy, and Ren Baker, big guy. You could put Gordon in the baby Bjorn and just carry him around so he could help you and tell you what to do.
Salty. Guido's salty with the gifts right now. He's applying a little sodium chloride to the gifts.
You guys remember the time? You guys remember back when I was a really big WVU fan? I was like, oh, it's going to be okay, rah, rah, rah. Now I'm I've hung out with Scooty way too long, and so now I just don't like any of these people.
The visual of Ren Baker walking around with Gordon Gee and a baby Bjorn is kind of funny to me. Scoot, remember when we did outdoor events for WVU coaches? We surmised some outdoor events, and one of them was Bridge Day, and you said that you would have
Yes.
Coach Huggins,
who we would
Tandem
jump with
me, yes.
Anyway, okay, well, I'll go next, Guido, because I think I would get, I don't know if you can buy it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could get a museum to help you do a replica set or something. But I think Ren Baker needs a set of chainmail armor to wear throughout next season's football season, because he's going to get a lot of arrows thrown at him. He's going to get a lot of, daggers and all kinds of stuff coming his way. Scoot, he needs a protective, level of armor that he's going to need to
heavy.
walk.
I feel like that stuff is heavy.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it comes in lighter versions or something, but
Aluminum.
I think it would serve him. It would serve him well if he had a protective layer, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. I hope he's sitting in the press box during the games. Be a better place. Be a little safer for him there. Scooty, what are you getting?
Funny
Mr.
enough,
Baker?
along Guido's lines, maybe you guys remember in the mid-'90s, back in our heyday, there was a popular show on MTV.
Our day of hay.
Called Syphil and Ollie.
What
Are
now?
you
Who
familiar
and
with
what?
Syphil and Ollie?
No.
What?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah,
Syphil
and then
Ollie,
Precious Roy was also a character on Syphil and Ollie. I need you to Google that, Johnson.
They were two socks, weren't they? Socks
Sock
that talked.
puppets.
They were
sock puppets.
sock puppets, right? Yes.
Well, I'm going to get our good buddy Ren Baker some sock puppets so that he can be prepared for what's about to come his way, because I think he's a puppet. I think he's going to be doing what he's told to do.
Oh my gosh, I do remember this now that I'm seeing the picture. Would he be Syphil or Ollie?
I think
Or
he's
does it
Precious
matter?
Roy.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Oliver Luck is Ollie.
Syphil is Gordon
Gee
Gee.
Syphil.
And he's Precious Roy.
No, hold on. That's
Yes.
that's a terrific. That's gonna stick, Scoot. That's how crap gets started. That's gonna stick. Precious Roy. That's gonna stick.
So we're
now.
start calling him
Precious Wren. Precious Wren. Oliver Luck and E. Gordon Gee as the two puppets. Oh, it's too good, Scoot. I feel bad for Ren Baker. He literally started the job today.
I mean, he's got cool shoes.
Yeah, poor.
He does
I
have
mean,
cool shoes.
poor
Come on.
guy. I don't think he has any clue what he's walking in, and maybe he does. I don't think he's. I think he's probably up to the task, but man, he's going to need all of his resources.
Yeah, yeah. Next up, guys, we have the president. He's been at WVU now for a while. He's really helping the program grow. E. Gordon Gee. Scooty, what would you get President Gee for Christmas?
Well, recently I've got some friends who have received some mail, and in that mail they've received, it was a magazine with Adam Sandler on the cover.
Okay.
And that magazine was the AARP magazine.
Yes.
I'd like to get him a membership
I mean, I think he's had a membership for probably 25 years now.
Well, what is the name? What does AARP stand for?
The American Association of Retired People.
That's right. So I'd like him to maybe just retire. So if he gets this membership, perhaps he's retired and not working. So I'd like to give him the gift of retirement.
Gotcha. I'll go next, Johnson. I feel like, E. Gordon Gee, super excited about all of his hires and all of his buddies and the Country Roads Trust. So I'm getting him a couple of empty money bags, like with a $sign on the front of them, so he can get them. So he can give him the Ren. Ren can go get them filled up and bring him back. To him.
You think the focus is solely there right now?
I think the focus is solely on filling the money bags. That's what I think. Do
those really exist? Do people
thing.
really walk around with those? I mean, is that a thing?
I mean,
with bags with money decals on them,
coins.
Just stop for a second and just picture this: Ren Baker walking into the football stadium with E. Gordon Gee on him and a baby Bjorn, and E. Gordon Gee is holding two money bags.
Two money bags. Just
holding
swinging around.
Listen, I need a WVU fan. There's got to be somebody who listens to this podcast. We get 1,000 downloads a week. Somebody has got to draw this for me. There has to be an artist
A
listening.
Ren Baker and a baby Bjorn, E. Gordon Gee.
I mean,
carrying
please
him.
draw it, tweet it at us, or you can email us. Like, get us a copy of this. I got to see this. Johnson, what are you getting President Gee for the holiday?
You guys have really thrown me a curveball here with this E. Gordon Gee gift stuff. I was thinking, President Gee, kind of notorious for his, he's kind of a bow tie aficionado.
Yes.
I was thinking I'd like to get him several, like a new set, Scoot, a new, like maybe, months worth of bow ties that maybe would busy him with admiring, checking out, organizing his new bow ties so that it would create a bit of a diversion and let Ren Baker do a few substantial things while he's not looking to this football program. That's what I was thinking.
Okay,
Well, I think you're more hopeful than Scooty and I are.
Nicer than we are.
Yes.
Those are things he can use. I don't know that he wants what I'm giving him.
You want a tie rack? Oh, we'll get you a tie rack.
If he's in the Bjorn, though, that's probably not going to work, though, I think.
Guys, we, as WVU fans, we care about the people who come through the program, and we don't want to send off two of our, our former athletic director and a former coach without giving them parting gifts. Graham Harrell, he's going to Purdue to be the OC there. Thanks for your 1 year. Thanks for getting us a 5-star quarterback. I mean, all of that worked out beautifully for us. We appreciate it. So we just wanted to give you a parting gift. I got him a gift card to the Boiler Up Bar, which is the #1 Purdue fan bar in West Lafayette. So have fun, have a couple of drinks, enjoy yourself.
That's a very nice gift for some reason. That's a very nice gift.
Scoot
I feel like
thinks he would like that gift.
Yeah.
Like Scoot's looking that up right now. Maybe he gets one.
Graham, I hardly knew ye, right? He was not here long enough for me to really get to know him very well. So I suppose I would get him a new, he liked to wear the Nike WVU hat. Maybe I'd get him a Purdue WVU hat. As a matter of fact, you know what I would do? I would get him an extra year of eligibility from Drew Brees.
There you go. Have Drew come back
at
45 years old, right? And throw the football around.
A pair of pajama pants to match some of his favorite quarterback.
I was going to say, JT Daniels, does he get those Purdue pajama pants before he gets there? Is that how that works?
If he goes to Purdue, what are we doing here?
You're stealing my gift. Can I say my gift?
Well,
Before
no,
you
sorry,
guys
sorry,
steal
I'm sorry.
it. So you know the motorcycles that have the sidecar.
Oh,
Scoot,
yeah.
the last time I can think
like
of
the mouse in the motorcycle. Yeah.
Well, or you know what I just popped into my head? It's like the Indiana Jones when Sean Connery was with Harrison Ford. And
Indiana's what we named the dog.
that's what I wanted. Thank you. So that's what I think I would get Graham Harrell, because JT Daniels could ride in the sidecar all the way to West Lafayette if he can convince it. Like, I don't know if JT Daniels probably doesn't want any more college football. Maybe, I don't know. But if he does, he would have a convenient place to sit.
He didn't after Texas Tech, did he?
It didn't appear so. But it
Right.
didn't appear so. But maybe he would have, a comfy spot to ride to West Lafayette, and maybe they do a round two. Maybe they try it, like they take their talents to West Lafayette and give it a second try, Guido.
Maybe. I don't know, but I have a feeling. Last, but certainly not least, Shane Lyons, former athletic director at WVU. I was going to get him some matches, just because he's already burning the place down on his way out. But instead, what I thought is I got him a pair of those. Remember when we were kids, those sunglasses that had like the rear view mirrors built into them,
right.
so you could see what was behind you. So like he could see behind him as he walked away, as E. Gordon Gee was stabbing him in the back. He'd be able to run faster. So that's what I got, Mr. Shane Lyons. Scooty, what did you get Shane on the way out?
Shane didn't last very long after his removal from office. He went right back to Alabama. So I guess I would get him some houndstooth coat and hat. A houndstooth coat and hat.
Yeah, that would work.
Which
Get
he
his Bear Bryant look on.
which he probably already still has. Or
Probably.
had.
Yeah,
So
he probably just pulled it out of the closet.
but I'm going to give him a new one.
You re-gifted it back to him.
That's
You
right.
wrapped it back up and gave it back to him. Johnson, finally, last but not least, what would you get Shane?
I think I would get Shane Lyons, Guido, a new wallet. It's like a very dad gift thing to do at Christmas, but I think he needs a place to house the $2.3 million that he got from WVU to leave, which I think is roughly, twice what we saw for Ren Baker. He needs a place to put those bills, and I think I would get him a nice new. You see those Scooch, you see those like carbon fiber fancy wallets, I feel like he'd
Yeah,
appreciate
right.
one of those, protect his
Very
cashola. I think that's what I'd go with.
That's nice. Well, it makes me feel good. Season of giving. I felt like we gave some really great gifts out this year, guys. I mean, some phenomenal gifts. I think they'll all enjoy it. They'll get plenty of use out of the gifts that we've given to our favorite WVU athletic department people. So I hope they enjoy that. And I hope somebody draws a picture of Gordon Gee and a baby Bjorn on Ren Baker. So listen, guys, that's going to do it this week. We'll be back with another show. WVU does play a game. I mean, they're playing basketball. I mean, it's kind of cold and it's Christmas, but WVU does play on Thursday night at 6 p.m. Against Stony Brook. That game is on ESPN Plus. Scooty, what is Stony Brook's?
Yeah, I was because I messed up the bison at the top of the show. Do you know what the Stony Brooks are, Scoot?
Yeah.
I'm now looking this up. I know are they still coached by Steve Peichel, former UConn basketball great under Jim Calhoun. I think they're coached by there was two Peichel brothers. Is that one of the coaches?
Nope.
And I think they are the Stony Brook, that's some kind of bird. The Stony Brook Bluebirds.
False.
Nope. False. That's false. They are, and I don't even know what this is. They are the Stony Brook Seawolves.
Oh, a
They are
Seawolf.
What's
Yeah.
a sea wolf?
It's like a Seahawk, but with a wolf.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's.
I think
what
it's
it
a-
is.
Thank you for that breakdown. I totally get it now, Scoot. Thank you.
I don't know. It's a class of submarine.
No, is it a submarine?
It is, but that's not
Yeah,
what.
that's
That's
not
not
what
what.
they
It's,
are, right?
but they have an animal. They have an animal. They have a wolf as it's like a
I'd
wolf.
say it's just like a wolf that hangs out by the ocean.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. Anyway,
A wolf?
A wolf.
The wolf. A wolf. So
Wolf.
WVU plays the Stony Brook Sea Wolves on Thursday night at the Coliseum, 6 p.m. It's ugly sweater night at the Coliseum, folks. So pull out your ugly sweaters. Wear an ugly sweater to the Coliseum. So yeah, guys, we'll be back next week with another show. We'll talk a little bit about WVU and everything going on, if anything changes, and maybe we'll do a New Year's show. Who knows? Maybe be a short show. Might be a short show next week. We'll see what happens. And then we kick off. Basketball season kicks in the gear, and we start to play those conference games starting New Year's Eve. I'm excited about being able to watch a WVU game on New Year's Eve. That'll be a good time. 7 p.m. They travel to the Little Apple and play at the Bramblage Coliseum. Is
Oh,
that what they call
the
it?
Octagon of Doom or
Bram-
something.
Bramblage.
K against K-State. So thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget, check us out online. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Got Your Ears. New Facebook page coming out in about a week. So we will have information out about that. And you can also check out our website, gotyourearson.com. Johnson, it is the hub of everything we talk about.
It is. We'll post the latest show with all the show notes, links to the show notes of stuff we talked about there. We also have the TuneIn link, so you can listen to the show right on the page from the TuneIn link, and you can also click through to the GYEO merch store, so check it out.
Yeah, check it out, gotyourearson.com. Everybody have a happy Christmas. Enjoy your family. Enjoy some WVU sports. Hope everybody gets a nice WVU hat or shirt or pullover.
Or
Something.
Baby Bjorn.
Or Baby Bjorn. Or branded Baby Bjorn. We'll be back soon, guys. You've been listening to Got Your Ears On.